طيب, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah once again from IUG to students of comparative literature here at the Islamic University of Gaza. By the way, I am zooming this class from my office at the university. I am the only one here, I would guess, at the university. I'm cast away, like Robinson Crusoe, living on the island by his own, if you remember Robinson Crusoe. I'll mute very soon all the students. Different to your. I think most of the students are already muted by themselves. Yes. So as mentioned in the and on the model yesterday for you or for today we are supposed to have a look at the PowerPoint presentation compiled by our assistant teachers from the university, namely I think Iman Abu Hamad and Abu Sirriya and Azhar Amaira. Yes. Okay. I assume that you at home you looked at the PowerPoint presentation, which is concerned with the translation issues. If you remember, in our introduction, we mentioned for more than once that the connection between CL and TS is a friendly, strong, and intimate connection. Okay, and as you know, what you could find in front of your eyes here is a translation of Men in the Sun. Sankanafari did not write his novella in English. He wrote it in Arabic. And we are thankful to Hilary Kilpatrick to render it into English. Okay, what's her name, the translator? Hilary Kilpatrick. Let us now share screen. Translation issues. Here we go. Here is the first slide in the translation. Some translation issues in Men in the Sun was, as you know, rendered to English by Hilary Kilpatrick. Okay, that's the first slide. Let us enlarge the slide. If we can, a moment. Yes. That's the first slide where the participants or the teachers are commenting on certain specific lines, words and expressions. لقد كان أستاذ كتاب وأنا أستاذ مدرسة. I think you remember this question which was asked to Ustaz Salim by Al-Mukhtar, by the head man, when he asked him to lead the prayers. He said to him, I cannot lead the prayer. Okay, I cannot lead the prayer. قال له إيه؟ أنا كنت أستاذ مدرسة، ما كنتش أنا في أستاذ كتاب، مدرسة كتاب، أنا كنت في أدرس في مدرسة أستاذ مدرسة. Okay, and here Hillary did render it, as you can notice. He was a teacher in a Quran school. In a Quran school. Okay. By the way, if you want to write any comment, you can just quickly write in the chat box. Okay, are you following? But I teach in a secular school. Okay. Let us have the comment on the translation by your sisters. Of course, according to your sisters here, this translation is unsuccessful, or the choice of words here is not suitable. Why? لأن كتاب does not only mean Quran school at that time, back home, back then, for 1948, when we read our history and taught about the المدارس, مدارس كتاب, they used to teach different disciplines like reading, like writing, like math, and also social manners, not only Quran. Okay, so according to your sisters, this translation is not suitable to write Quran school. And the same also when using secular school. And the same with using, by of course, Hilary Kilpatrick, secular school to refer to the regular school at that time. We don't know what is meant exactly by this term at that time. Okay, as if religion is not part of that school. Let us now have a look at the alternative. By the way, your sisters here did not give us an alternative. So it's your job, it's an invitation for you to think about another different suitable translation. Sometimes your sisters would give you the equivalence, sometimes without giving you the equivalence. السماء كانت بيضاء متوهجة وكانت ثمة طائر أسود يحلق عائلا وحيدا على غير هدى ليس يدري لماذا امتلأ فجأة بشعور آس من الغربة. طبعا هذا التركيز هيكون على التركيز على آس من الغربة. Hillary did translate غربة as being a stranger, as being a stranger. Okay, and according once again to your sisters, this is not successful when to write being a stranger. Because it's not suitable in the context for someone who is abroad and who is really feels homesick. And they would suggest here homesick instead of being a stranger. Okay. And by the way, I want you to think at home about this presentation, whether you agree or disagree with your sisters. Okay. So this is not taken for granted. I want you to think with me and with them. Here they are giving us the alternative. يعني هم مش موافقين مع حلري انه ترجموا آسف من الغربة being stranger، بل قالوا ايه تكون ايه home sickness. يعني هم اعطونا هنا ايه alternative. طيب كان ابو العبد قد اعطاه كوفية لف بها رأسه. شو حكت طبعا هيلاري؟ قالت ايه head dressed. شايفين الصورة؟ ده هي هاي الكوفية الفلسطينية. Now think in the chat box and tell me whether headdress is suitable or not suitable. يلا بسرعة في الchat box اكتبوا لنا. Go to the chat box quickly and write down whether do you agree or disagree with this translation. I can see some answers coming. Not suitable. To keep it as kufiya as it is, I disagree. Should be rendered into kufiya. Excellent. I agree with Reem. Disagree. When you write in the chat box, write to everybody. Write to everybody. Yeah. Culture translation. Good. We should put the culture difference in our translation. Very good. Your answers are correct. I would say. I think most of us would agree with the assistance and render kufiya as it is kufiya. Transliterate it, as we say in translation. We need to transliterate it instead of writing head address. Very good, well done. Let's now leave the chat box and go back to the screen sharing once again. Yeah, let's retain share. Very good. So here is the answer from your sisters. The choice was not successful because of the symbolic meanings of kufiya. This kufiya represents our resistance, our steadfastness. So according to your sisters, we have to do it here to transliterate it, as you said in the chat box, and write it as it is, kufiya. The same with the word nakba. The same with what? With nakba. We write nakba, not catastrophe. Okay? When the Israelis expelled us from our own homeland. Okay? تمام 1948. We call this in translation, we call it a transliteration. Who can tell me what is this technique called in terms of a translation? When you write the word as it is, it's called here a transliteration. But there is another strategy in translation used by Venotti, by one of the experts in translations. His name is Lawrence Venotti. What does he call it, this process? When you write Salah, Salah, Zakah, Zakah, Kufiya, Kufiya. Who can tell me what is this called according to Venotti? Write the answer in the chat box. Yalla, مرة تانية. You have 2 minutes. And as you can notice today, we are connecting or combining between the translation and literature. Go to chat box. Yalla. Venotti called it what? Called it a transliteration? No. Multilingual translation. طيب جود احمد جود احمد ابو جديان. هو إلس يلا كمان. like انتفاضة انتفاضة, not uprising. يلا يا شباب. What does Venotti call it? Multilingual, multilingual. When you translate the word by its own, by transliterating.
Multilingual means متعدد اللغات.
Somebody else.
Okay.
I think I'll give you 2 choices. It can be either called domestication or foreignization. We'll get back later on to this question. Type the screen once again. According to your sisters, Hilary Kilpatrick, when translating the novella from Arabic to English, she was trying to depolitize the text. To do what? Depolitize the text. That's the claim of your sister. Think once again about this kind of claim, which I myself disagree with. Okay, because I believe for sure that Hilary Kilpatrick is with Palestine, is with Kanafani, is with our resistance. Some more examples. طبعا هنا مجاهدو الطيرة. Okay. ولذلك استدعوه مجاهدو الطيرة. Who is that? Abu Kharazan, the driver. She rendered it into commandos. That was why the commandos in Al-Tira invited him to drive an old armed car that the village had captured after the Jewish attack. ترجمة تي مجاهدو as commandos. ايش رايكم في الترانسليشن هذه؟ Successful or unsuccessful? The answer is here from your sisters. She said, or they said, they would ask her to translate it as mujahideen or freedom fighters, as if your sisters are not happy with commandos. Let me unmute you and listen to some of your answers. يلا نسمع شوية دوشة من عندكم. Yes, who would like to answer? Here? Yeah.
Can I be say?
Are you happy with commandos, Ahmed?
I disagree actually, because commandos here means leaders or something like this. Mujahideen here means stragglers, means people who are defending for their land. So I think she should say stragglers or fighters for
As your
as
sister
she
said here, the
translates.
alternatives, Mujahideen or freedom fighters. So,
Yes.
right. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. Somebody else.
Yes, Dr. Batul here.
Yalla Batul, huh?
I disagree with using the word commandos, because I think commandos, it's related to organized military, not something related to the fighters. Fighters maybe because we have here something like revolutionary fighters, not related to specific military. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Ahmed and Batul. Somebody else would like to add?
Yeah, I disagree with this translation.
Good. Why?
I think fighters is good in this context.
So you would here suggest freedom fighters?
Yeah.
I myself, I agree and disagree at the same time with Hillary. Can't you notice that sometimes here in Gaza or in Palestine, the Palestinian, let us say parties or fighters or resistance movements, can't you notice sometimes they use the same word, commando?
Yeah, we have.
It's positive. We do use it. So it's not wrong from Hillary to use commandos, but the mujahideen, yeah. Command is positive, not negative, by the way. But maybe Batul is right when she explained that it does relate to an organized or disorganized military group. Anyway, you might say,
I think there's such translation bias here.
Okay, you get it, guys? So here it's nice to have different views, to have some sort of debate about the translation. I myself, I would say using commandos is right, not wrong. But maybe it would be better if we write freedom fighters. But haven't you also noticed that Hillary Kilpatrick did use freedom fighters in the coming pages? ولا نسيته؟ اللي قرأوا معي رواية. She did use
sure.
Hillary Kilpatrick. She did use it.
Yes, use it.
But she
capitalized the freedom fighters, if you remember.
Yeah, we remember.
Yani don't.
I think she should use stragglers.
Be harsh when you attack or you judge the transit Hillary. I think she was doing well, by the way. She was doing well. Okay. Anyway.
Doctor.
Yes.
I think she should use stragglers for not repeat the phrase itself. She don't
use in English
to use fighter.
We don't use it. It sounds literal, Ahmed, to use stragglers. We use struggle, not stragglers. We use freedom fighters nowadays. Those who fight for a just cause. Let me now mute you once again, guys, and continue with the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, اسكت حاليا. Yeah. طيب, one more examples. طبعا هنا طحين الإعاشة. هل ستبقى كل عمرك لتأكل من طحين الإعاشة؟ Hillary did translate it as flour ration. Flour ration. Okay, that's when Abu Qais, I think, remembering his past memories and being asked by Saad, if you remember, the one who traveled to Kuwait and brought lots of money. ايش قال له انت بدك طول حياتك انت عايش على كابونت الوكاله؟ يعني قال له طول حياتك, without of course mentioning here before ration, UNRWA ration. So your sisters here would say ration here is somewhat ambiguous translation. And they would suggest that Hillary did add UNRWA before ration to explain it for the readers, what's meant by ration, from where this ration comes. Okay, المخصص العاشر. So they would here suggest addition in translation. I think you are familiar with the concept of addition. إضافة فيها الترجمة. Addition, deletion, adaptation. I think you know these terms in translation. Here, your sisters are suggesting some sort of addition in the translation and adding what? Yunrua or unrua ration, and not only translate it as ration. طيب كأن الحياة شوربة لبن. كأن الحياة شوربة لبن. As you can see here, as usually your sisters here in this PowerPoint, they are not happy with Hillary's translation, and they say her use of life like eating yogurt is not suitable, and they would suggest a piece of cake instead. Maybe this is right, by the way. Maybe when you write eating yogurt is somewhat literal translation, somewhat literal. Though of course it's not wrong, by the way. I think the British do use it, by the way. The British do use it. Don't think of life as eating yogurt. They use it, by the way, the British. However, your sisters believe that a piece of cake is much more suitable instead of eating yogurt. Do you eat nowadays yogurt? Or you eat coronavirus or what nowadays? طيب. Now, ملتفعات بالعباءات. Some women sitting in the shade of the tree, wrapped in their veils. بالعباءات. Once again, your sisters here disagree with the translation with veils, and they would ask Hillary to write instead عباية or a cloak. Anyway, يصبح الحر فيه في أوجه وأقصاه. When the sun is at its highest. That's the translation or the equivalent used by Hillary for أوجه وأقصاه. Once again, your sisters here are not happy with this translation, and you can find, by the way, in the slide the context of each sentence. So this took place when Asad was talking to Abu Kharazan, and he asked Asad to get out from the car and to walk for a while in the desert so he would not be caught. Okay. As you can notice, the choice of its highest was not appropriate according to your sisters, as if they are talking about the degree of the sun and not its features. Say they would say the equivalent sun peaks. يعني لما تبلغ الشمس يعني مداها أو أقصاها. Sun peaks. لمح البصر, once again, it's rendered into English as a twinkling of an eye. And of course, this is, by the way, called collocation. بنسميها إيه? Collocation, and used by Marwan to express the time and the time scale according to which he quickly would become rich in Kuwait to collect money so easily. So this collocation is used to express what Marwan was thinking about those who work in Kuwait, that they can gain money quickly in twinkling of an eye. I think this is fine, by the way. Yes, now your sisters do agree or agreeing with Hillary's translation, and they say this choice is successful. And as of course, as you can notice, when we talk about translation, we talk about the choice of words. The choice of words, اختيار الكلمات يعني, whether successful or unsuccessful. Okay. And then your sisters did support their answers from the Quran. The sun is hitting us, by the way. We have 10 minutes, by the way, left for our class. And don't worry, Mr. Zoom, we're finishing soon. So here, to support their answers, your sisters brought also some collocations from the Quran. وَمَا أَمْرُ السَّاعَةِ إِلَّا كَلَمْحِ الْبَصَرِ. Okay, and that's of course in the day of judgment. Twinkling of an eye is also religious term used in the Quran, and of course also in the Bible as well, and also in the Bible as well. يشق طريقا. The heart of the earth has been pushing its difficult way. The sitting ones answer, and the translation, of course, here once again is successful. And I think we have now one more or two slides to show to you. Stop sharing. Yeah. Okay. Let me show you another. Where can I find it? Here. Here. This okay, pause. Let us pause the recording for a while. Yes, let us now have a quick look at the last two slides. Yes. We have here, I think, two slides, and I'll try to send you either today or next week, inshallah, about the importance of culture in translation with reference to Benotti and Eugene, whatever, both are talking about the importance of culture in translation. And here is the name of Lawrence Benotti, who, among others, does highlight the importance of culture in translation. And he is the one who did invent the two significant terms, either called domestication or foreignization. And you can find here in the slides what's meant by each one of them. But let me just quickly highlight to you, when you translate zakat as zakah or salah as salah, it is called foreignization. It is a foreign term for the English speakers or native speakers of English. It's called foreign term. Salah, salah, zakah, zakah. But when you translate salah as a prayer, it's called domestication. Now, this term is well known and familiar to the English target readers. Once again, I'm repeating, when you translate salah as salah, zakah as zakah, it's called foreignization. Yeah, this term is foreign. For whom? Not for you, for the English readers. But when you translate salah as a prayer, it is called domestication. You domesticate or you foreignize. And of course, when you translate, guys, you either use this or that term within your translation. I want you to think at the end of this presentation, in general, what's your last impression about this translation of Hilary Kilpatrick? Do you want to call it successful translation, appropriate, faithful, faithless, accurate, adequate, inadequate, or whatever? And tell me why, because this might be our next activity. I'm not sure, maybe, but think about this question. So we are not presenting this PowerPoint only for knowledge, but also for the sake of evaluation, in order to motivate you to think with us about these issues, these matters when it comes to translation and literature. Stop sharing. We have still 4 minutes left. Let me also announce this important announcement that from next week, students can present their presentations. But they are advised to first send me in advance their PowerPoint presentation so that I can share for them on the screen, or they can do it by themselves. I think if you are happy with Zoom and you know how to navigate, you can, like me, use the share screen and you can show us your slides from your end, and you can present from home. I'll give you about 7 to 10 minutes for each group. Okay. And if you have questions, you can call me or write to me on the WhatsApp or whatever you like. Let's now listen to some questions. Yes, can you hear me, Guy? Yeah. Yes, any questions so far? We have about 30 participants today, and as we will try to record this class and post on the Yes, any questions so far, guys? Amal, Muhammad, Reham, Ahmed, Hida, any questions? Can't hear any question, by the way. We have still 2 minutes left, by the way, for the class. Feel free to ask whatever you like. It's the end of the class. And we'll try to meet inshallah next week, either on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, and of course not on Thursday, or Friday. For sure, inshallah. Yes, Dua, any question? Saba, any question? Sra, Galaxy Tab, Haya Barhum, Haya Baroud, any question from your end? So write to me in the chat box what's your impression about the translation in general. Yalla. Adequate, accurate. Yalla, write quickly in the chat box. Write just one word or sentence. One comment about the translation from Arabic to English. Adequate, inadequate, accurate, inaccurate, faithful, faithless, literal, literary, appropriate. We use these terms to judge a piece of a translation. I want to see a mixture, a mixture, translation bias, good, appropriate, all of that. What is all of that? I'm not sure all of that. Who else? One more comment. We have less than 1 minute, by the way. Accurate use, appropriate words. Thank you, Sahar Kaloub, for your last comment about the translation. That's the end, by the way, of our class today. I would say have a nice weekend. Enjoy your time. Don't scare too much. Enjoy your life, and we'll be in touch next week, inshallah, either on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. That's all. Assalamu alaikum. Let's do another recording.